Thank you. Roger that. Got it. All right. I'm reading the chat there. Thank you, Javier. Wasn't saying anything important. Good catch. Good catch. Yeah, man. Stream crashed earlier. Let's see how we bounce back from this. We were getting into some topics, got into some Bigfoot reports, and we were transitioning to some true crime from these areas of these Bigfoot reports. Not saying they were related in any way, but it's interesting to see that yeah, these areas are known Bigfoot hotspots, and these areas are also known for its crime. But it's not all bad there. Like I was saying earlier on the first stream, right before this. So if you are just catching this, there was a stream before we were in like an hour and some change, and all of a sudden the chopper went down. Yeah, you seen that? Got zapped. But we're back, Juliana. I wasn't gonna leave y'all like that. I thought you probably ran for the barn after, said I'm out. But I'm glad you're back here. And I was just gonna get into some of the recent news out of Kovlo, which you probably are aware of since you're very tapped in. And Kovlo is a place I've never spent much time there, but my friend, a lady friend of mine, she owned property out there, and she's actually the one who helped move me up into Honeydew. So, God bless her in helping me make that big transition up that way. Couldn't have done it without her. So, bless up to her. And yeah, she was out of the Kovlo area, and yeah, went through some of those. She went through some really tough stuff, and I guess I'm not saying any names, so maybe yeah, she lost one of her own little ones out that way. Uh, yeah, in an accident. These things happen out there, and yeah, sad, sad that happened. And anyways, tough lady, really tough lady, and just one of those NorCal country ladies that just are super powerful queens and very knowledgeable about all types of stuff, man. It's amazing. And yeah, hope she's well. But yes, I heard some gnarly personal Kovlo stories, and then of course have read a whole lot. And yeah, so Kovlo in the news again. And thank you to Javier for letting me know that I was muted earlier. Haha. Yeah, so I usually like that during the intro, when I'm dropping the intros and stuff like that. Got to make sure that thing is on or off. And Bayfront is pretty popular. I did teppanyaki, but I also ate ish out of the truck. Oh, and hit your what? Let's see. Hit your face on the door. That, oh, dang it. Oh, man. That's a bummer. Yeah, things like that happen. And Bayfront, yeah, I think that is that the sushi place where you could like see the bay outside the window? Old Town. I wonder if that's where that's at. And if so, been there. There was yeah, yeah, we were trying to catch part of it, Jeff. That's how we started the last stream, the one before this that just crashed, was with the motorcycle chase. And I think we might have gotten like a little sliver of the guy on the bike, possibly, or I might have jumped on too late. But I had it going, and then so I went live, dropped the intros, and then put the but I think when we went live, the chopper might have already been panning out and through the city, but you could see the the ghetto bird across the way with the light on and everything. And actually, because downtown is not too far from right here. I could see look out and probably see some of the buildings, but I started hearing the chopper over here. So they were around, and I'm sure they're probably chasing that dude on the bike. But there was actually a second chase going on at the same time, and we're trying to get that up and going, but wasn't able to. So we'll keep an eye out. If you get two, chances are you might get three. The way things are going out here. And let's see. Juliana had a good excuse. I was changing your little guy diaper. Oh, you're not used to wearing skirts with your husband's jacket up truck. What? You did get booked off your that day and won a buckle too. Hey. Wow. And I did see the it's also a short vid we were checking out. I was checking out Juliana's short vids earlier. I recommend them. Juliana, post your links. Uh, share your channel if you like. I know you're low key, but yeah, you were holding was that some antlers and the skull there too? I was like, is that you? Because I've never seen your face. I think I've seen it once before, but couldn't. So I don't have a full on, you know, what you look like. So I was wondering if that was you. And if so, I was like, whoa, that's super cool. Look great. Yeah, man. Jobless. Woo Reezy. Were you in the last stream, Derek? We crashed. Something happened. I do get that the internet does get weird here, even at the house sometimes, also at the shop. So, it happens. And I've been thinking about trying to, just plug straight into the damn thing, see how that quality works, see if it changes the quality of the video. I see it sometimes and it's kind of, it's all right. But yeah, so we're gonna get into this Kovlo news. We got into Leggett there for a bit, and ended on a crashed at a pretty decent point there. So I think I could make my little appreciate that, Derek. Got your message there. Yeah, so we're talking Patty, a couple Bigfoot reports that we had gotten earlier from BFRO and Bigfoot Mapping Project. We talked about Scott Carpenter and his latest video, talking with Bobby Short and talking the Patterson Giblin situation and the things that may have occurred that, is very controversial. And which leads me, because that kind of is the topic tonight. It's like, okay, so if there was a massacre of Sasquatches up there, you know, it just I don't know, it goes with a lot of the history up there, because there's been historical incidents. Earlier we were talking about like the whole cannabis thing and that before the crash happened, and how that, a lot of people believe, and I believe it's true too, that it brings certain elements and certain things, happen with that scene, because there's the whole black or the underground part of it. And even with it being legalized and everything, there's still these underground and black markets and stuff, and things happen. But I don't think it could all be, and we're talking the Emerald Triangle here. It can't all be blamed on just cannabis. There's other things that happen, and with more people moving into the areas, more people pooping into the areas, uh, more things you're gonna hear, more things happening, right? At least I would think so. And yeah, Kovlo. When I think Kovlo, when I think of all these areas up there, I also think of the history of, we were talking Bigfoot right now, And since it's so rich up there, I'm very interested in, where things are happening, where things may have happened. And we've touched on, of course, Mendocino, Trinity County, Humboldt, Del Norte. Um, and so Covelo, not far from there, you have also, is it Round Valley, uh, large Native American population in those areas also. Um, you also have the Mendocino Wilderness up in that area. And for instance, this is a trippy one. Some of you may know Sasquatch Ontario, and he's another controversial figure when it comes to Bigfoot. And I've mentioned had an experience. He's actually been out to Mendocino, and this is years back when he shared this quite a while back. He was visiting a lady who lived in Mendocino, and he had some sort of he said a dogman experience out in the Mendocino wilderness. He also shared a video clip. He was driving on the road, and you could see this. And I have to go back and look at it again. And I've seen it several times, but it's a interesting looking object or subject as he's driving down the road. And I believe this is in Mendocino as well. And this object is like flickering through the woods, which reminds me a lot of my first sighting up above Garberville. We're just talking about Leggett, Garberville area earlier. And yeah, it was a really trippy video. So anyway, the Yoli Boli's all that way as well. If you go further out, and I've heard of talks of little people out that way also, just like further up in Hoopa. And yeah, and those areas unfortunately get a lot of crime too. It's like the hood in the woods, let me tell you. And I just remember living up that way, hearing reports from Mendocino, living in southern Humboldt or different parts of Humboldt. You hear neighboring news from surrounding areas, and yeah, Covelo is just one of those places that I knew you got to be careful, you got to watch out. And there is, and the reason why I bring this up because again we were talking Leggett, and so a little further south and a little bit inland from Leggett and all that, you have the actually a little further south of Leggett, not too far south, is the Mendocino border, and south of there, not too far, you'll have a a junction, a highway that'll take you into the Covelo area. And I did find a couple actually of because I knew there was going to be some reports, Bigfoot related reports out of that area, but it just came into my radar because I was checking out Redheaded Black Belt and had seen that there were a couple of incidences, crime related incidences in the Covelo area. And they were back to back homicides, which I was like, ooh, whoa. And earlier we were talking about Murder Mountain, and and actually this is not too far. So when anything this stuff type of stuff happens up in those areas, even though it's not in the epic center of what people call Murder Mountain, Alder Point, Island Vista, or what is it, Rancho Sequoia, that's where like the documentary of Murder Mountain was based out of. But this stuff happens in the surrounding counties and you know all over the place. And so when things happen in other areas, I include it as part of the triangle, the Emerald Triangle. What happens? Things that have happened up that way. And so really quick, we'll look at some of the stuff out of the Covelo area that I could think of that I remember and that I was able to find. And so we'll dive right into that. Let's see. This is one legit history, Dave. Dwarf. If you catch, boom, there's a link there. All right. Be tapping back into that link. Hopefully the link works there. If not, I'll punch it into search bar. Save it, Davy Dwarf. Will do. Yeah, I'll definitely tap back into that. I appreciate it. Yeah, go ahead. Don't worry, you won't miss anything, Derek. Do your thing. Take your time. And so let's see here. Kovlo. Got an old report here, and I think this is actually we were mentioning Bobby Short earlier on the previous stream. Uh, Speaking with Scott Carpenter about the Patterson Gimlin situation, and so I believe this is her website. And again, she's passed several years back, but it's Bigfoot Encounters, and I won't read all of it because it's actually a pretty long encounter report there. And as you can see, there's that of Kovlo. There's also, let's see, some may pronounce it Kovelo, Kovlo, Kovelo. I like Kovlo. Let's see, another report out of Kovlo area, and this is more, might be more on the paranormal tip, and which is a trip because it's a BFRO report. Let's see here. Yeah, so report 22500 class A. Oof. You know, the class A's are like the pretty gnarly encounters to be able to classify that. And let's see how this goes. It says 2007, it was winter. December is the month, 15th. And out of Mendocino County, California, it says, gonna pop this bigger for me. Location details was on a Kovlo residence property up a hill. He had two horses. Not sure where it was exactly. We were asked to go there to look over this. Please don't list this. I'm still not sure what happened yet. Not sure about the nearest roads. And then let's see, it says observed. And it gets into the report here, which I won't read off this time. Maybe we'll get back into it. But yeah, some interesting happenings in the Kovlo area. I'm saying it right, right on. And then you're saying, let's see, I've got some good hard ladies down that way. Oh yeah. I'll catch up with them at a fair and rodeo time. Right on. I have yet to ask them about paranormal, but the cartel is at least gone for the most part. Yeah. Interesting. But I've questioned many of my old mountain men and truckers and definitely have some additional stories. Awesome, Juliana. Can't wait. Yeah. Thank you. And so, yeah, so what happened recently in the Emerald Triangle out of Kovlo? Whoops. We will take a quick peek here at Redheaded Black Belt. Let's see. Mm, where are you? And going back to Edinburgh, remember the lady who was from Scotia and had a report out of Edinburgh, and Leggett. There is actually some information that I was able to find out of the area. And it says here Bigfoot sightings have been reported in and around Edinburgh, California. One notable report was submitted by an experienced Western naturalist who claimed to have seen Bigfoot in Sequoia Park near near Eureka. I don't know about that, but I have heard about that. But I don't know if, yeah, that's right in town. Very, very possible though. You never know. Additionally, let's see, the area around Edinburgh Road near Bryceland Road in Humboldt County has had several reported sightings. Humboldt County, where Edinburgh is located, has recorded, yeah, 47. It's more now, 48, although it hasn't changed in too long, according to BFRO. I think the 47 reports are referring to reports and sightings that have been submitted to BFRO. I think there are about 48 or so. So, touching on Edinburgh really quick, didn't want to forget that. And let's see if I could pop up situation going on. Let's see. Here we go. We'll see if they're still headlining. This is the site I was looking for. Redheaded black belt. Let's see. All right. Here we go. So here's one of them. Death investigation. Gunshot victims found near Covelo. There's that Leggett situation there. Caltrans employee injured in vehicle crash on Highway 101 near Leggett. Air ambulance dispatched. Medevac. Ooh, high speed chase. Suspect fled on foot, Highway 101, up to 110 miles an hour. It's pretty wild. They don't get too many speed chases up that way, but they do happen. And yeah, this I was reading also, we also lived in Miranda, seen a truck went over the embankment, and that's on the detour Avenue of the Giants. So scary stuff there, especially depending on where he went off. You know, once you're coming into the town of Miranda, from the north, if you're taking the detour way, there's an area where people go hiking down there. So hopefully he didn't drop down that way. But I'm trying to pull up this second. Let's see, Central. Maybe we could cruise down here. Something about the Bembo. Let's see, overturned car near the Bembo. I'm gonna go to the sidebar here. See if we could pull up. I'll just go ahead and click on this one here. There we go. All right, details emerge in Mendocino County incident with multiple gunshot victims found near Covelo. It's a pretty long report there, but yeah, and I believe this one was fatal. And then there was a second incident and for some reason, maybe I'm passing it up or what. I can't find it. Do you hear that loud explosion right now? Those fireworks. They were doing that at like 10 in the morning too. Jeez. Seen a woman on the news in a local town here that was complaining about the fireworks, and maybe she's gonna get something done about it. Making the news. Let's see. So this might be the same. Let's go ahead and click it. All right. So death investigation here. Yeah, that is the same report there. It looks like. And so I know there was two, and they were back to back and not far from the area, but they believed that they had nothing to do with each other. And yeah, just wanted to bring that up because it's just one of those things that is known to happen up that way. And yeah, it's just scary stuff for sure. Also, while looking into this, some of this Mendocino stuff, I ran into this, and this is Amazon here, and there's a book actually, Murders in Mendocino, and there was maybe what, about a month or so back, we covered cases along the coast of Mendocino. Some of them were pretty weird cases. Some of them were crime, obviously, but just how so many people go along missing along the coast of Mendocino. And we were touching on particular towns: Casper, Albion, what is it, Navarro, and interesting area there. Super, I love it in that area. But yeah, some weird stuff has happened around there, and also going back to the Covelo area was a case, and this one made the David Politis's list of missing 411, and I believe Steve Stockton may have covered this one, and some of the other big missing persons, case, strange missing persons cases, channels. And this one, Juliana, if you're still in here, you probably already guessing which one this is. And I want to say we have possibly featured it before. I don't know. I know I did share it out when it happened. This was years back. I remember when this happened. I was living in the area also. And let's see if this one's it. I think this is it here. Yeah. So you have the case of John Davis. Anyone familiar with this one? Check it out briefly, but I could tell you off the top of the head, he was I remember that he was out in the Covelo area. They were hunting, and I believe he was with his son, and they separated. The son stayed behind in the trailer. I think they had their trailer pulled up, and dad never came back. And I remember it was raining during that time. And so some were speculating and theorizing that possibly he might have got washed away by the river, which is possible because at the time it was water was raging in the areas. But yeah, so the Mendocino County Sheriff Office and Mendocino County Search and Rescue Team are currently conducting a missing person search in the area of Highway 162 at the 8 Mile Bridge near Covelo. The missing person was last seen yesterday, 10/24/21, in the early morning hours while camping slash hunting with family. And I believe it was just him and his son. And I believe the son spoke too. I forget. There was some interviews with them. The missing person was last seen yesterday. Let's see. Today, searchers located the missing person's dog. So he had his dog with him and are asking the public to contact sheriff's office by calling, and then there's the number there. So this doesn't get into too much detail. Let's see. The missing person is identified as being John Davis, 48-year-old male of Humboldt County, standing 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing 220, with brown hair and blue eyes, last seen wearing camouflage rain jacket, neon green pants with reflective stripe. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty weird. And Juliana, let's see, it sounds bad, but in all honestly, the mortars are the best way to deter the elk from crossing roads and breaking my fences down. Oh, so you'd be setting, you'd be doing your thing out there to keep them at bay. Hey, bro, the sheriff's department are involved in a lot of these cases, especially in California. Yes, and Derek, I know this is a sensitive topic to you as well. I don't know if you shared in the chat, but you have shared with us before, and I completely believe you. I don't think you're pulling my leg at all. But Richard shared with us the other night that his dad is actually, we're touching on the Alaskan Triangle, and Richard is a fellow YouTuber and was sharing on that particular stream that his dad is actually missing from the Alaska Triangle. And we'll see if I'm not sure if you want to share anything else, Derek, but I know this is a real thing even for Derek. And I don't know if you want me to say any more. I'll hold myself there, Derek, but yeah, we keep you in mind, definitely. So yeah, I don't know what happened to that second. It's always leery of people who ask about blood types. Oh yeah. What's up, Magneticus? Good to see you, bro. And yeah, so what is it about these areas? And so one thing is that the Covelo area is, I guess, I don't know if Round Valley and the Covelo are two separate reservations or if it's all included as one. But I do believe Covelo is a res, and then Round Valley actually has it's not far at all and has its own thing going on there. Very similar to, I feel, Covelo, and then going up into the area I was staying in, a lot going up that way. So we're heading back up north, crossing county lines back into Humboldt, which isn't far at all. And we were mentioning Garberville, the town of Garberville earlier. There's one trippy case that I've talked about. We haven't gone in on it yet, but it was I was listening to Coast to Coast. I was up the hill, and it was nighttime, and I remember listening to, and it's a trip because Jessica Jones today interviewed Brian Sang, and they've done interviews before, and he's out there with his information, some pretty far out stuff, and he's putting together this conference in Florida. And today they were talking about giants and other stuff up towards Winnemucca, northern Nevada, and actually there's a Humboldt County And I think Winnemucca might be in Humboldt County or it might be neighboring Humboldt County. I know the Humboldt Toyabe National Forest is not far from there as well. So there's a Humboldt, and it's just as about as high up as the Humboldt in California, but over on the Nevada side of things, and that's where the Lovelock Cave giants, the redheaded giants, were and left all types of artifacts and stuff. And they were going in on that. And Brian actually lives up that way, which was very surprising to me. I was like, whoa. And he started, going into some of uh some of his area there, brought up the Burning Man and it was interesting talk there. And so there's this highway that goes across those towns up there, and it's what's the town? Battle Mountain, Winnemucca. And if you know the area, you might be able to think of more. And I even sent a little chat during the stream today, and Jessica put it up there. So I don't know if Brian sees that, but I was like, I'd like to talk to him about this Highway 80 that I had heard about because it was George Knapp, from Coast to Coast, reportive investigator from out of Las Vegas, was doing a whole thing with this strange disappearances going on Highway 80. There was cars being found along Highway 80, and the people weren't being found around there. Some of them were locals. Um, some of them seemed to be elderly people, so they thought maybe it was like a group of possible maybe people abducting people possible these trucks. They were thinking truckers and possible serial killers that were running through the area and maybe taking these people. And then there's also the thought of other worldly things that may be happening up that area. It's all desert, pretty much desert around there. um And so it was a trippy, interview there. I forget who was he talking to, but anyway, there was one particular case about this older man that was going from Ohio to, uh, that area of Nevada, and he had his dog with him, and at one point, the man, he ended up going missing. I believe him and the dog were never found, but his vehicle was found, and at one point during that trip, CHP had pulled him over, and so there's footage, dash cam footage of him speaking to the CHP, and a big rig drives by, and the old man is mentioning something about that the big rig, he was following the big rig driver who was going to help him get to, I don't know where, where or do what, but for some reason he was following the trucker, and they were trying to identify the truck, the little bit of video clip that they had of it going by, and they couldn't tell. There were some logos and the license plate, but it was all too blurry to make out, and so everyone was trying to figure out the make of the truck and all that. And yeah, they believe that that trucker may have been the last one to have contact with this gentleman, this older gentleman who was never found. And yeah, there's a whole series of these types of cases up that way. And yeah, interesting that Humboldt comes up in that particular area also. God, it's just Round Valley. And it says, woo, they're all in for a reckoning. Keep her case alive. It's time for accountability. And I'm not sure what case. Are you talking about the case of the young lady? I know there's one big case that was out of Mendocino. And yeah, I was also going to mention that, this type of stuff has been going on before even the whole cannabis stuff, because it goes back to uh, indigenous people. So the whole indigenous women issue is happening in Humboldt County, and I know they've been, really fighting uh, to get their voices heard with all that. And I did pull a couple things up. Um, hmm. I had also a couple trailers, but maybe some of you have already seen some of these documentaries. There was a Sasquatch on Hulu, and I don't know, were they going to come out with more parts, more episodes of that? I'm not sure. Were they coming out with a second documentary? I'm not sure. And that gets up into the areas also very near Garberville, Leggett, Northern Mendocino, some of those towns there. Blah, 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 blah. And then going inland is where you have Cove Low and all these other areas we're mentioning around Valley. And that was a trippy one. It was interesting. Although people were probably expecting some real Sasquatch stuff, but it was a twist. What up, Flat Six? Yep, Bermuda Emerald Triangle. That's right. And let's see, maybe we should just pull that up just to have a little visual here. Let's see, do we have it? Sasquatch. Boom. Here it is. All right, we're gonna play a little something here. This is the trailer to Sasquatch, and this is on Hulu.
It's too long to feel like I might not belong here and something is going to take me out.
I've been a journalist for about 25 years, embedding with street gangs, going undercover as a neo-Nazi skinhead.
Anyone seen this? Put a 420 in the chat.
Now I'm going to tell you the craziest story I've ever heard. I was working on a cannabis farm up in Northern California. I remember a guy telling me about 3 bodies torn to pieces. He said a Bigfoot killed those guys. A Bigfoot murdered 3 guys on a dope farm.
There's always been rumors of legendary violence.
And I believe Jeff Meldrum comes out on this. And the guy who's speaking right now, interesting character there.
The story of Sasquatch or of man-like monsters has been with us from the very beginning.
There's a belief in supernatural forces that runs deeper up here than most places.
You believe that Sasquatch can teleport?
No.
Yes, you do.
No, I
Yes,
do
you
not.
You do.
Do not go there.
Got to throw the woo folk up in there. Huh? Hey, maybe they could.
The Emerald Triangle is famous worldwide for producing cannabis plants.
It's just the best in the world. People came here to get rich quick.
They don't want outsiders up there.
The rate of missing persons cases is the highest in the United States by far. Old-time cannabis growers were willing to sit down and talk to me, but there's no way they're ever going to go on camera.
And I did do a little Brave search to see what the statistics of missing persons was for California still. And we'll have a look at that.
Plenty of people have been killed up there and never found.
I'm venturing into dangerous territory with all these hippies listening to the Grateful Dead, but packing an AR-15.
We probably have more bodies than we could even count. It's pretty bad.
Tell me about the crime that your son witnessed.
I really can't talk about that.
People pass through here and they just see how beautiful it is. They have no idea the shit that goes on in this area.
It's scary.
They also filmed inside of what was the name of that saloon right there in Laytonville? Boomers. Yeah, we made a little pit stop there this time around. did a little live stream from the parking lot, which is no more boomers, but the facility's still there.
Areas some of these stories are, we still want to figure it out.
People are afraid of the unknown. The evidence convinces me that Sasquatch is dangerous.
It scared the crap out of me. I don't know if I believe in Bigfoot, but I sure as hell believe there are monsters among us.
All right. Anyone check that? I checked it out, and yeah, it took me for a twist, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see if any more comes out from that series. I thought they were going to do a little more to that. And another one was obviously the Murder Mountain series. I don't know. There was a second trailer that I found, but I haven't heard anything else after that. And we'll take a look at that trailer if we could find it here. Let's see. I think I had both of them. The first. Yeah, here we go. So this is I believe, yeah, this is the original.
The Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. The Humboldt County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public to keep an eye out for a missing man. Another man is mysteriously disappeared somewhere in Humboldt County.
You could just tell that there's something going on up here.
There are
That fog.
flyers everywhere.
I remember that I had that episode still missing from what is it, Lost Coast Journal? Let's see if I could find it.
I think they have the slightest clue on what goes on in this county.
Trinity, Humboldt, Mendocino. This is the Emerald Triangle.
We have 15,000 illegal grows up here.
It's their own law.
Bless up, Larry. I see you, King. Good to have you here, Larry.
Up there,
From Long Island.
it's their own country.
This is not the hippie marijuana industry anymore.
I've been shot at, beaten, kidnapped 3 times.
No, son, don't get involved with that, please.
Get the out as soon as humanly possible.
You could end up dead in a ravine. In that area, we refer to it as Murder Mountain.
So yeah, not far from where we're staying is where this documentary was based out of. And yeah, you hear and you see things. And yeah, I don't know. It's just you have to live it to know. And yeah, there's been we'll pull up a few cases here that happened actually while we were there. And some of it we got to see when, like, investigators were around, and we'll touch on that here. So I found a second trailer to this series. But again, I don't think anything has happened. The trailer dropped like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more. And where are you? There we go. So the title to this is Return to Murder Mountain, What's Up in Humboldt. And let's see, 5 years ago. And so I believe it might be the same director, producers, and all that. I would imagine it's got the same title.
What brings me to Humboldt is this magical wilderness, unlike any other in the country.
Old Town Eureka, beautiful Victorian old world houses.
This amazing cannabis community, these mom and pop farms that started this industry decades ago, that used their cannabis money to build the local radio station Kmart and the Mateel Community Center, and that community brought me to Humboldt County, this amazing wilderness.
K-Mud, really quick, that comes to mind. I believe K-Mud is in Redway. I always get there's two main radio stations up there that I would listen to. And K-Mud was one of them. And I believe that one is in Southern Humboldt in the town of Redway, which is right next to Garberville. Garberville and Redway are like almost one town. And but they're two. And the radio station, I actually got to play there once, play a set there. If I'm talking about the correct radio station. Yeah, it was super cool experience. There's actually a case, and Juliana, if you're still in here, or any other locals from the area, maybe listening now or later. There was also the case of the disc jockey. There was a lady disc jockey that worked at the radio station there, who was found in her house locally, right there in Redway. Yeah, someone took her out. And to this day, I don't think I've heard any updates, no suspects that I remember in that. And it was just, it was devastating for the community. That was a hard hit, and I don't think, she was involved in anything criminal, but you never know. But yeah, that was a tough one. And still, I think very mysterious. It's like who crept into her house, took her out. I mean, she was a voice in the community, and maybe that brought something. I don't know, but yeah, we'll have to pull that one up. And I don't think I did tonight, but
And 20 years later, since I got here, trying to find trimming work.
so it says coming soon, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't found anything. If anyone finds anything, let me know. I definitely will be checking that out. And I did also run into some articles where people, wrote some stuff. I don't know if anything was on documented like on film, but it was just going against this side, this point of view of the areas, and just wrote some really positive stuff, which is, I think, really cool. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me that, heads up there, conscious heads up there would definitely fire back at, uh, at these depictions and views of the area also. But I think it's helpful in some ways, and in other ways I could see that how it could, harm the view of the areas too. So do keep that in mind. And let's see, makes you wonder what kind of truth that sister was spreading. Yep, definitely. And do you remember that case, Juliana? I mean, there's so many that come to mind, and I picked out several here that I remember, and this is another one. Like the one featured on the Murder Mountain was of the Sandy. One of the cases there was one of the guys was from San Diego, and his name was Garrett. It was Garrett Rodriguez was his name, and he was like one of the main cases again featured on that documentary. And going back, let's see if we could pull that up really quick. I was going. Remember, I was checking up on Eddersburg and checking for any just reports of strangeness because the lady from Scotia had one of her Bigfoot reports there, and then really quick, this had popped up out of Eddersburg. And interesting here, July 11th at 11:12. Almost had the you got your 11:11s there, almost flushed with the triple 11s. Fish and wildlife biologists find human jawbone in the area or in the Mattole River. Sorry. Deputies currently in the Eddersburg area looking for additional remains. And you get a lot of that. Sometimes you just find a few things. And we've talked about a series of cases happening along the Eel River. But here you got the Mattole. And the Mattole has popped up a few times. And I used to live above the Mattole. We were mentioning Honeydew earlier. Get the Mattole going by there. And yeah, this was something I wanted to bring up also. Haven't heard any follow ups to this. And this has been a few years back, 2023. And then we're going to go up the hill a bit towards Alder Point. So we're all, we're a little bouncing around a little bit, but all pretty much in northern Mendocino, southern Humboldt. So we're not veering too far. And this was another big case that had happened in the northern Mendocino area years back. And I remember being around in this area, and it was the Black Oak Ranch murders. And this was a heavy one also. There was several suspects on the run, a lot of gory details, just all bad. And Black Oak Ranch is known for it's a big property. And I don't know how this situation was, but I don't know if several people would live and work on the property and stuff. But they would have I think they still do, like festivals. They had a Earth Dance Festival, which is a really big positive festival. People come out from all over. It's pretty good vibes most of the time. Never been to it. And then you had Kate Wolf. The Kate Wolf Festival would be held at that property there, and several other events that are well known. And yeah, you had this situation, gnarly situation. And then, one of those that just always stuck with me, and one of the many. Again, that's northern Mendocino. Let's see. So I wanted to go back up the hill towards Alder Point, going above Garberville, where some other situations had happened. And boom, this is another one that was, an unknown older local that was found dead on the side of the road. And there's one pretty much. I mean, there's a couple roads. There's Dyerville Loop where he was actually found, and that could you could come in from actually near the what is it? Uh Rockefeller Forest that we were mentioning earlier, Bull Creek. If there's that road where I was talking about um the rest area, and there's a bunch of awesome berry patches back there, good picking spots for berries. And then, yeah, if you keep going that Dyerville Loop Road, it'll spit you out onto Alder Point at some point. And that's where this gentleman was unfortunately found deceased. And the day he was found, the Queen and I were actually headed down the hill and seeing all the law enforcement and investigators there. And we had seen that, yeah, there was somebody there. We didn't see, I think he was already like wrapped up. And yeah, we never found out what happened there. They believe he was possibly strangled or something like that. Yeah, asphyxia. See, right there. And yeah, no suspects, no nothing. And it was pretty creepy when that happened. I'll never forget. And there's a bunch going up that way towards Alder Point that I remember. Another one that I'll bring up. And let's see if I could find this. 1 second. Is somewhere here. Uh, all right. That was the one we just seen. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, I got a bunch of tabs pulled up, but I think I've been doing all right being able to find most of them. Let's see here. And this one was another one that was just very close. We were around at the time, and it just happened really close to us. And it was up on the hill. We got it. Let's see. Car belonged. All right, I'm gonna click through here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play the Jeopardy music now. I won't panic. We will find it. It is. Let's see where are. Yep. Can't find it. But well, meanwhile, let's see. All right, here's one article. Hopefully it's it. All right, now this is an old also Mendocino incident. not the one I'm looking for here. Let's see. I'm gonna keep trying. Let's see. Meanwhile, I guess we could pull up this other interesting YouTube video on the area. We'll find it. Trust me. I'm gonna find this right now. We'll check out this dude's there we go. Vid here.
Pacific Northwest, a merging of missing people. Something strange is happening in the Pacific Northwest, a merging of missing people and what seems to be supernatural phenomenon. We'll start off in Humboldt County, which has earned the nickname the Black Hole, and this is because an average of 717 people per 100,000.
And this guy reminds me of some other guy that was making videos out of Washington, and he hasn't posted lately, but he was checking out some missing persons cases and some weird stuff happening up in the Washington area, but I don't know why I'm thinking it's him. It sounds like him, looks like him. Could be confused though.
Go missing in Humboldt County every year, giving it the highest per capita missing persons rate in the state. By contrast, per 100,000, California sees 384 missing persons cases on an annual basis. Now, many of these missing cases are probably due to the fact that Humboldt County is part of the Emerald Triangle. People from all around
mentioning that. But again, we were, also mentioning that this stuff has been going on there way before the cannabis scene.
Around the world come to the Emerald Triangle to grow marijuana legally and illegally. This, of course, leads to probably the majority of the missing persons cases in Humboldt County. But there are still some strange cases. And beyond that, the Emerald Triangle is the beginning of a very strange phenomenon happening in the Pacific Northwest.
So they call it the Black Hole.
Strange case of a mysterious disappearance is Christine Walters.
Here comes the train. Heads up and all aboard. This case here, this young lady, and there it is, was another weird one in my opinion. There have been reports of cases of people that have gone missing and then are later found with like scratches all over their body, like they were almost being pulled by something through like the woods. It's like if a bunch of branches and thorns and stuff scratched her body up somehow. And yeah, this is one of those cases. We'll take a listen here. I don't think he describes those details, but I remember this case looking into this topic. I remember this clearly and did want to bring, we got to do a dive on this one here.
Who vanished in broad daylight. When she first came to Humboldt, it said she was a gregarious and upbeat person. She then grew paranoid, however, and was convinced someone was out to get her. One day she went out for a walk at 1 p.m. and asked someone for directions at 3:30 p.m. and she was never seen again. When a subscriber passed that article along to me that Humboldt County is the black hole of California for missing people, it instantly made me think that I know Humboldt County is the beginning of the area where people claim to see a lot of Sasquatch sightings.
Yeah, interesting thing to keep in mind. I do all the time. Some people may not. Yeah, I think this video here was pretty well put together, although I don't agree with everything. He's going to get into the overlaying of the maps and stuff. And there's that statue, that Bigfoot statue that's in Willow Creek that actually, there's a report of it. Someone drove into Bigfoot. Yeah, right next to the smoke shop, because there's a smoke shop right there. You got that Patriot gas station. And then to the side is the smoke shop. Yeah, there's a Subway next to that Patriot.
Now, I don't know what this entity that people are
And someone drove into the Bigfoot. And I think there was minor damage to the Sasquatch. Still up and running.
seeing is, but it seems to me that it could be maybe something from the Nephilim offspring, or maybe some type of spiritual phenomenon that breaks from the dimension it lives in into our dimension, the same way UFOs do, that the United States Navy and government now admit are not our crafts breaking.
So yeah, Nephilim theory, very interesting and possible. I don't knock it at all. What about you?
Through into our dimension, which got me thinking. I knew that Oregon and Washington, the Pacific Northwest, also have high cases of supposed Sasquatch sightings. So when I typed in Washington missing people rates, I was shocked to see this article: Washington among top 5 states with the most missing persons per capita, the report says. I continued to look into this and found this article: which states have the most missing persons, and
That's another thing we've been also looking at, was like what states have the most Bigfoot reports, which Washington and California come up, and then which states have the most UFO sightings. And we briefly brought up these couple articles that were put out just this year with some of those numbers. And yeah, we do question how they get those numbers, and we know that a lot of reports aren't submitted for statistics, but I guess they're ballparking it. And yeah, weird that Washington and California both have a lot of Bigfoot and a lot of UFO sightings. So something going on there.
3 out of the top 4 states are in the Pacific Northwest. Now, California isn't even on this list in the top 10 states, but right where California starts to become the Pacific Northwest, in Humboldt County, we have the highest per capita missing persons rate per county in the entire nation. Now, there's a few maps that I want to put up on screen that have some...
Much love to you, Hillbilly Herb. Welcome in, bro. Hotbox that chat.
Striking similarities. First is a missing persons cluster map that we can see here. I'm assuming the information on this map was taken from David Polity's work, Missing 411. Of course, check him and his channel out if you're interested in this stuff. But here...
And some of you are very familiar with my rants lately about the missing 411 map, that it needs to be updated, that there's different aspects of the missing 411 phenomenon that would, I think, change the, what would you say, topography of the missing 411 map, because there's air cases. There's this whole series of land, air, water cases that he's done. And there was the trucker series that he came out with. There's the sobering coincidence, the devil's in the detail. And so I think all those things, maybe at the end of it, it's all one source to all this phenomenon. But I think those different aspects of the 411 phenomenon could be different phenomenon. If that makes any sense. Whoa.
We have this missing persons cluster map, and now we can look at a Sasquatch sighting map, or whatever this big entity is walking in the woods. Extremely similar if you look here at the Pacific Northwest. Again, missing persons, and now this Sasquatch entity sightings.
And we did mention, the sightings in the, I get it. It does look very similar. Got to throw a UFO sightings map over that too, and a bunch of other maps, right? And I appreciate you all for the patience of me navigating the stream here. It's not easy, and yes, it takes work, and I'm glad we're doing it. And yeah, because earlier we had a stream crash, and yeah, I was hanging out all day waiting for the feeling to do this. So here we are. Appreciate you all. Much love.
I also found this map of UFO sightings from 1995 to 2014. As you can see in the Pacific Northwest, it's practically identical to the other maps. Something worth pointing out as well is a map of the known cave systems in the United States, And as we can see, striking similarities again, which led me to Alaska and Canada.
All right, what y'all views on that, on those map overlays? Should we swing it back a little bit? Take a look. I don't know. Gotta put, let's see, a little. Give you a second there to ponder and overlay those maps. Could it be?
Which led me to Alaska and Canada, and it continues to get strange up there. An interesting fact about Canada is that 90% of Canada's population lives within about 100 miles of the United States border. So the vast majority of the landscape and the wilderness up there is completely uninhabited. Canada, of course, bordering Alaska, and there's a strange phenomenon that happens up in Alaska, and it's an area of Alaska known as the Alaska Triangle, which is very similar to the Bermuda Triangle, known for disappearances and strange occurrences. Since 1988, over 16,000.
There's the talk of Alaska Triangle. We're mentioning earlier Richard, personal prayer for Richard's pops, who's missing in the area. I don't know the exact details, but yeah, hopefully Richard could share with us one of these days. But yeah, we send out those prayers wherever he may be. And it doesn't mean like even, I wonder where these people go, how they go missing, what happens. And it seems all like not good, but maybe something good is going on. People, I've heard about the rapture before, and it makes you wonder, is something out there maybe taking certain people for something good? And yeah, maybe it is sad that they are taken from us like that, but maybe it's for a really good thing. Hopefully, I would think so. There's got to be some of that going on if the negative stuff is happening, right? World of dualities. Maybe not.
People have mysteriously gone missing across the Alaskan Triangle. One strange case of an incident there is when the U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs' airplane vanished somewhere between Anchorage and Juneau in 1972. The disappearance triggered one of the country's largest ever search and rescue operations, involving 40 military craft, 50 civilian planes, and 39 days of searching an area of 32,000 square miles. Yet the search yielded not a shred of results. No wreckage, no debris, no human remains, nothing. After this incident, Congress passed a law mandating the installation of emergency locator transmitters in all U.S. civilian aircraft. With all these strange occurrences, it really seems as if maybe Humboldt County, the Emerald Triangle, is the beginning of a strange area of supernatural phenomenon stretching from California all the way up to the tip of Alaska. Look,
I think he's on to something there. I think it's very, very possible something. But then it would have to stretch a little further down because there's probably more of that strangeness happening further down here. And you got to skip on over to the Sierras as well. That's just talking the Pacific West, Pacific Northwest, excuse me, Pac West. Not to mention all the other places with high strangeness that could be tied. Some think everything is connected.
Looking online, there's a lot of rumors of Humboldt County, Eureka, all these areas, the woods around Humboldt, having stories of hauntings, strange figures, of course, the mass Sasquatch sightings, but nothing so out of the ordinary that I found it worth putting in. Similar stories of hauntings and Native American burial grounds stretch all throughout the United States and Canada as well. But the point to come back to is that Humboldt County North, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, all these areas have very high missing person rates in comparison to the rest of the United States. Along with the Sasquatch sightings, the UFO maps, these maps of missing person clusters, and even cave systems, seems as if there may be a supernatural occurrence happening here to cause
Going back to Eureka, there's this whole thing. What is it? I think it might be the Salish, something to do with the feet being found. Uh, a lot of times in just inside of shoes, there's no other body parts to it, and it's happening. It was happening, I guess, all way up in Canada somewhere, and there was feet like that being found all along the coast in certain areas, all the way down to Eureka, California. I haven't heard any other incidences lately, but there were, I think, a few of several years back.
Maybe these people going missing. The missing persons is, of course, a tragedy, so prayers for the family are definitely encouraged. As well as if you ever go into the woods, it's important to take a GPS locator device that works outside of cell service, as well as a firearm is recommended. They've polite.
Yes, and remember, even Politis is saying now that a lot of the phones, like I got the iPhone 15, and with that you have the SOS feature. I don't know how far back of an iPhone you need to have that feature, but I think I don't know if most of them have them now, but the 15s and up I know have it, and it's something to keep handy. And even David said that that's in his eyes good enough to have instead of a whole other unit. I used to have the InReach. I think it what is it, IS something, or yeah, one of those InReaches, and I used to have to pay like a monthly fee for the service, and they do work. We've talked about the time I accidentally set it off. I was in Redway. My mom got a call from Humboldt County Sheriff's Department talking about we have an alert for your son. And yeah, I had the thing on my waist, accidentally set it off, and got the call from Ma Dukes. She's like, "Hey, you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." She's like, "Well, the sheriff's calling me here." I was like, "Oh shoot!" And yeah, no, everything was all good, and yeah, the device worked.
And missing 411 has said those two things I think have never been found in a case of somebody who's gone missing. These entities, these phenomenon may be tied to offspring, remnants of the Genesis 6:4 era, or maybe some type of spiritual phenomenon that's ramping up and breaking through the veil in the last days. Something is definitely happening with missing people in wilderness areas, and it seems to be something that doesn't fit the mainstream narrative, something that has a supernatural.
I see Hillbilly Herb mentioning tons of feet in BC. And I've heard, the BC being like a mega spot for Bigfoot. Oh yeah, right. And it was, I think, Cliff Barackman that was describing. He's like, yeah, and the Canadians live. A lot of them live pretty much by the border, so there's so much unexplored parts of Canada. Just talking BC, he was mentioning there's so much more that hasn't been explored, and where many more Sasquatch may be. I believe it. Would love to visit BC, and just yeah, it seems just like prime country, God's country.
Tie to it. So as we try to figure out what the supernatural cause may be, let me know in the comments what you think it is. Is it something from the Genesis 6:4 era, a Nephilim or its offspring, something with the UFO connection tied to these things that are breaking in and out of our realm, or something else? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
It was long as our boat.
Taller than a ceiling. That wide.
His two big eyes looking at me.
It was huge. It wasn't no bear.
It was big. Even when it was squatted down,
those guys are
hands,
humble.
It was still darn near as tall as I was.
Locals.
My grandma kind of referred to them as ancient people, not as an animal per se, a dog or any other animal, but like us, but just choose not to live amongst us because the way.
I forget what documentary that's, but it looked like a History Channel. Yeah, History Channel there.
We act.
Yeah, super cool vid there. And that is, let's see. Shout out his channel. Really enjoyed that video. The Black Hole of Missing People, Humboldt County, Pacific Northwest Disappearances, Missing 411 by Sling and Stone. And this was put out a couple years ago, 2 years ago there. And quite a few subscribers there. So go ahead and get your subscribe on over there. Hopefully he could pump out some more vids like this. All right, coming to an hour and a half mark, and oh my goodness, I could pull up more cases, and so maybe we'll just make this around 3 for another night. But there is no. Let's pull this up. There is some weird, interesting. Check this out. Anaheim, California connections to some of these areas we're talking about here right now. So really quick, let's see if we could do this. Yeah, because I got several other cases I could definitely pull up and that we could see, but we'll make these Anaheim, California connections. And one of them was, first of all, let's see, we've been sharing Daniel Perez's website here quite a bit, Bigfoot Times. There is an awesome book in there that I want to get, and Daniel Perez has been up into the Bluff Creek areas for many years. He lives out here in Anaheim, California. And let's see, this is the book over here where he's dropping new nuggets. That's what he was calling it. Having to do with the Patterson Gimlin situation. And I don't think he had done an interview recently with Squatch and Holler on YouTube. And that's where he had mentioned about another video being out there of Bigfoot way before the Patterson Gimlin video, and it was out of Alaska. So I've been asking and putting that out there to see if anyone's seen that, because I would like to check that out. Maybe it's not out there to the public like that. I don't know, but I want to check that out. And then there was other information about the Patterson Gimlin situation, but I don't think there's any mention of the massacre situation. And I think if anyone would know anything about that would be Daniel Perez. And so who knows? Yeah, maybe there's some information about that. He did mention also something about, I think, about the second video clip that we were talking about that is not available to the public yet. And so, yeah, we've got to dig in this book, see what's in there, see what Daniel's leaving in there for us. And again, he's been around a long time in this arena, this circuit. And check it out. So you'll see, where does it say Anaheim? Let's go back to home. And there's the address there. So Daniel Perez in Anaheim Hills has a connection to Bigfoot, Patterson Gimlin up in Bluff Creek, Northern California. And, we were talking missing persons today, true crime. And there was a case we had touched on maybe about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months. And it was of a man from Anaheim, California, who his vehicle was found missing, or his vehicle was found and him missing up in Mendocino County. And it was a weird one. It was one of those, there's several of those where, just like the Winnemucca I-80 cases where the vehicle is found and there's no person in sight. And so I thought that was pretty weird. And he was actually headed to Yosemite National Park, which is ground zero for the missing 411 phenomenon. I thought that was pretty trippy too. And for some reason, he ended up in Mendocino. And here's that search. Did that Brave search earlier. County in California, which one had the most missing persons? Because I had heard, even when I was up that way, people had told me this. I was like, what? Are you serious? And before I had gotten like deep into this stuff, I wasn't even really online at the time when I had heard this. And it says Humboldt County, California has the highest number of missing persons cases and is known as the black hole, like they mentioned in this video that we just seen, due to the high number of unsolved cases. So let's see, Mendocino man, where are you? Or Mendocino case. Here's another Bigfoot sighting on Highway 101, north of Willits. Near Shimmings Ridge Road. Another little article I had pulled up there. Let's see, I'm gonna try it up here. I'm gonna try the bar that I have up here. Try to go through there and see if I could find this particular case. Yeah, it was a trip because there's also a few other things that had popped up that were having to do with Southern Humboldt and Anaheim. Hmm. Yeah, Jeopardy music. Because I know if as soon as I stop this stream, we're gonna find it. But I'll give it another shot here. Here we go. Oof, thank you. All right, car belongs to missing Anaheim man found in rural Mendocino County. It's a short one here. I'll go ahead and read it. Authorities in Northern California County announced Tuesday that they have located the vehicle of an Orange County man who has been missing since June. The Mendocino County Sheriff Office said, and the Anaheim man, only known as Kojo, was last seen on June 26. Deputies said Kojo was planning to go to Yosemite National Park and had planned to return 3 days later. Kojo has not been heard from since. Attempts by his family to call his phone have gone straight to voicemail. On August 16th, the California Highway Patrol located Kojo's 2009 black Infiniti M35 sedan in a rural part of Mendocino County. more than 200 miles away from Yosemite. The vehicle was found along Highway 128 near the town of Navarro. And again, we did a series along the coast of Mendocino. If you dig back on some of the lives, anything with Mendocino on the title might have some more nuggets having to do with other cases and stuff happening in and around this Navarro area. But yeah, that Navarro spot, I've heard stuff from there from other YouTubers that have lived in the area. So some pretty strange stuff going on there, Bigfoot related and maybe other things. And what do you know? This guy's car is found in that area, a few miles east of the Paul Dimmick campground. Let's see, posted by Mendocino sheriffs. Authorities have conducted multiple searches of Kojo in the area, but he has not been found. The case remains under investigation. Kojo is described as a 59-year-old African American man, standing about 5'9" and weighing about 170 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information about this case or about the case is asked to contact Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. And you could see the numbers there. And so, yeah, another weird case. And then with a connection to Anaheim and this area of California. And then also there's another case that was very recent. And here we go. So this one was a crime, really horrific one. And you can see the title here. This is redheaded black belt, former Southern Humboldt woman, victim in apparent. You could read that there in Anaheim Hills. And I didn't get too deep into it. I just pulled up this one article here. But yeah, pretty sad stuff. Another interesting connection to Southern California in this particular part of Anaheim. So a few things there. And again, I got there's more articles. We could definitely do the whole series continuing this whole topic. And I think we will. I'll remember here what cases we didn't get into, and maybe we'll present some more of this stuff as we make more little connections and get more information. We'll bring that to you. And yeah, I'm checking out some of the comments here. Interesting Magneticus. And before we shut this down here, let's maybe take a look around Yosemite, since we're just mentioning that, and have a look. Let's check out the high Sierra cam they got going here. Yeah, let's see. All right, so we did about an hour and some change earlier, and we're just about at an hour and 45 minutes, maybe about 3 hours. Not too bad. I feel like we're able to get something off here, get our minds thinking, get to hang out and chop it up. And again, if you have any input or need maybe some help, maybe there's a way we can help. Maybe you have a situation, a case that you'd like us to feature, or maybe a flyer to show of a current case, or maybe a cold case yeah, let us know. We could do whatever we can here. We again respect all families and all victims. And looks like a little shiny star right up in here. Something's twinkling up there. Um, yeah, wild times, but a great time to be alive. And again, this is, for awareness of our surroundings, awareness of our communities, our counties, our cities, our states, and, just playing our role, doing what we can to help out and again bring awareness to situations that I think people should know about. And yeah, well, we're open for those strange reports as well, not only the true crime. And all right, getting ready to set up our little outro. And again, a view of Yosemite, the high Sierras. I wonder how far from this camera is where Ron Moorhead's spot is, where he had those Sierra sounds and had all that weird stuff going on. Be interesting if it's close by. But anyway, we're gonna wrap this baby up here, twist it up, light it up. Big up to everyone, Larry, Brethren Larry, and all of you that came through, Juliana, Magneticus, Hillbilly. Much love to everyone, and take care. We'll be at the shop tomorrow, so we'll see what's popping over there. And good night.